they were too brave to surrender and too intent on carrying out their military duties to withdraw without slaying the largest number possible of the polytheists. This report, as well as kindred relations binding the two belligerent parties together, slackened the desire to fight among some of the Qurayshites. To counteract this reason-based opposition advocated by a rival of his, Utbah bin Rabia and others, Abu Jahl started an anti-campaign seeking vengeance on Muhammad's followers for the Qurayshites killed at Nakhla. In this way, he managed to thwart the opposite orientation and manipulated the people to see his evil views only. When the two parties approached closer and were visible to each other, the Prophet began supplicating Allah, "O Allah, the conceited and haughty Qurayshites are already here defying you and belying your messenger, O Allah. I am waiting for your victory which you have promised me. I beseech you, Allah, to defeat them, the enemies." He also gave strict orders that his men would not start fighting until he gave them his final word. He recommended that they use their arrows sparingly and never resort to sword unless the enemies came too close. Abu Jahl also prayed for victory, saying, "Our Lord, whichever of the two parties was less kind to his relatives and brought us what we do not know, then destroy him tomorrow." They were confident that their superior number, equipment, and experience would be decisive. The noble Quran, with a play on the word, told them that the decision had come, and the victory, but not in the same sense they had hoped for. O disbelievers, if you ask for a judgment, now has the judgment come unto you, and if you cease to do wrong, it will be better for you, and if you return to the attack, so shall we return, and your forces will be of no avail to you. However numerous it be, and verily Allah is with the believers. The first disbeliever to trigger the fire of the battle and be its first victim was Aswad, a fierce, bad-tempered idolater. He stepped out swearing he would drink from the water basin of the Muslims, otherwise destroy it or die for it. He engaged with Hamza bin Abdul, who struck his leg with his sword and dealt him another blow that finished him off inside the basin. The battle had actually started, protected by armor and shields. Fought between his brother Shayba and his son Al-Walid from the lines of Quraysh and hurled maledictions at the Muslims. 3 young men of the helpers came out against them, Auf and Mawad, the sons of Harith, and Abdullah bin Rawaha. But the Meccans yelled that they had nothing to do with them. They wanted the heads of their cousins. Upon this, the Prophet asked Ubaidah bin al-Harith, Hamza, his uncle, and his cousins Ali to go forward for the combat. The 3 duels were rapid. Hamza killed Shayba, while Ali killed Al-Walid, was seriously wounded, but Before he fell, Hamza fell upon Utbah, and was a sweep of his sword cut off his head. Ali and Hamza carried Ubaidah back with his leg cut off. He died 4 or 5 days later of a disease in the bile duct. Ali was possessed of a deep conviction that Allah's words were revealed. These two opponents, believers and disbelievers, dispute with each other about their Lord. These verses were revealed in connection with men in faith who confess their Lord and seek to carry out his will. Muhammad's followers at Badr battle, and men who deny their Lord and defy him, the people of Quraysh. The duel was followed by a few more duels, but the Meccans suffered terrible defeats in all the combats and lost some of their most precious lives. They were too much exasperated and enraged and fell upon the Muslims to exterminate them once and for all. The Muslims, however, after supplicating their Lord, calling upon him for assistance, were made to hold to their position and conduct a defensive war plan that was successful enough to inflict heavy losses on the attackers. The Prophet used to pray to his Lord ceaselessly, persistently, and day and night to come to their succor. When the fierce engagement grew too hot, he again began to supplicate his Lord, saying, O Allah, should this group of Muslims be defeated today, you will no longer be worshipped. He continued to call out to his Lord, stretching forth his hands and facing Al-Qibla, until his cloak fell off his shoulders. Then Abu Bakr came, picked up the cloak and put it back on his shoulders, and said, O Prophet of Allah, you have cried out enough to your Lord. He will surely fulfill what he has promised you. Immediate was the response from Allah, who sent down angels from the heavens for the help and assistance of the Prophet and his companions. The noble Quran observes, Verily, I am with you, so keep firm those who have believed. I will cast terror into the hearts of those who have disbelieved. Allah the Almighty also inspired another message to his messenger, saying, I will help you with 1,000 of the angels, each behind the other, following one another in succession. The Prophet in his trellis dozed off a little and then raised his head joyfully, crying,